Hello everyone, I'm Amelia Maro. I hope we have met yet. If not, I'm a Hungarian artist who lives in Südtirol, in Italy. I'm male to female, transgender heterosexual woman. I was scrolling around Facebook groups and I upsetted myself a little over the general problem which people do, as not only transgender do, and that's uniformizating everything. I know we need people to mix labels, to have direction during our life, to find the way where we are and where we are going, and who is the other one. But it's also pretty dangerous because the possibility of language is pretty limited, and when the conversation is pretty one-sided, then there's no possibility to make the labels define both of the sides, I mean who is talking. And then actually most of the time the two sides or more in the debate talking about completely different things. And my problem with that when comes a sensible topic, like I already have talked about debates over that the children has the medication to not have puberty, to wait or not, or even the hormone therapy or the full transition, sorry, I forgot transition, paid by the government to make it possible to prohibit suicide. And for me, in this case, it's okay, really important, but it's again about uniformization. I think who is doing transition should be sensible for the fact transition is never the same. Now we get an international standards from America, which also used by my doctor, for example, my psychiater, which a kind of direction to help the doctors to decide who has gender dysphoria and who need medication and who need transition, which is a good start. But that should be only a starting of conversation, in my opinion, because like we are transgender now and maybe more experienced doctors who working with our cases, we are pretty diverse by age, by culture and by personality, and maybe that's the biggest issue in myself. We are really not possible to put in one box. Yeah, we think we are not born in the right sex, that's true. But how much transition we need, and which kind of medication, and what really our personality necessities, I guess it's really person by person should be decided. And when we uniform and we mix it, put in the box and a kind of mainstream way to educate the doctors and also ourselves to handle things, that's really dangerous. I'm addicted, I have to confess, to watching people who are that transitioned. Because also if I mix my decision pretty easy and was never really an issue in me, I'm really still not sure in my life quality it makes huge difference, the transition or not. And now you can stone me, but most of the time I feel also if I'm myself and people who don't know me recognize me like a woman now, that actually didn't make my life easier. I can say it's actually made much more harder. And what brings you, for example, to suicide? When your life is happy and easy, or when your life is full of conflict and drama, and you don't see what's going on in the future. Yeah, I don't want to push the answer in your mind, but I don't know which happy people go to suicide. So, and when you realize you actually have more problems daily basis than before, and more seems you have to face it, yeah, still I didn't regret. What makes me think? I mean, I'm analyzing like usual. I'm analyzing, and yeah, that's why I think uniformizating it's not good. We really have to mix wide range the possibilities and wide range the way of to handle things. And I guess, for example, in USA, it has a bigger tradition, it has a bigger history, also medical history, so I guess they can provide a better service for transgenders and much more level of services. It's not like, for example, here where we only took the protocol because it's there. Okay, it's worked out really based on personal experiences and science. But here, we don't have a human source for it. I mean, I'm happy my theater realized I'm a transgender and gave me the allowance for the transition. But I have met personally with other people who I'm absolutely not sure the real problem is there. And if I'm thinking on at present he, but of course she wants to be she, going forward I'm not sure he will not have problem with the results. And you know, again, it's not a reversible process. So I really would like him to not regret his decision. But because the human source, and it's really not my theater fault, but he has no experience really before me. Yeah, and he needs experience, which he's gaining because already 3 years passed. I'm sure I was not the only one who was there, but yeah, also he can make mistake. And also the endocrinologist can mistake like he did. So yeah, that's when we uniform. They think, you know, there's a person who was married to stuff, there should be a hormone level which should be pushed on, and that's all. And when I experienced my changing and I asked questions, I was not prepared at all, and they misdiagnosed me in a moment. Fortunately, nothing directly happened after we corrugated well, because we find out finally what was really the issue. But it can happen. And start, if someone start without a real diagnosis, I mean, it can be other things the problem, then it's a real problem, like I have seen with the detranslated people who actually had other problems which bring them for the decision, maybe they have gender dysphoria, but actually that was not the case. So, yeah, again, I was seeing this, we have to have the children to prevent suicide, and I was really talked again, if I'm saying a word about, maybe that's not really the question, I mean, maybe that's not what we really must talk about. The question why people don't get the right help. And because for me that's the question. We cannot say every transgender need transition. I make the video about this. Transgender not means transition, not mention the age, and suicide not means it's happened because somebody transgender. Transgender people, like every people, have many layers. We are much more than only our sex gender or our sexuality. I think when something dramatically we decide, like suicide, also for me, it was not based on one fact. It was not based on one problem what makes me desperate. It was based on many. I was an architect, that makes represent represent another story, and I was in the static lecture. That's about how stay the buildings, we make measurements for the concrete, how much iron should be in, and so on and so on. So that is about. And our university also makes services for companies where something happened with the building. For example, not only during construction, but maybe renovation. Maybe one side of the building slide down, or even completely break down the whole building, because that also could happen. Some workers who don't know what they are doing. Then the expert from this department of the engineering part of the university went out, they mix measure, they check that, and they mix theory, and then they look for evidence. So it's pretty science, but they also told me on one class which I take, this never happened because of one reason. So building is usually stand if only one problem is there. The problem usually much more, more problem became more problem added together and actually breaking down the building or apart. And that's true, I guess, also for a person. It's never one problem makes mass so dreadful. Maybe in teenagerhood the love is no, I guess even then now, because the life just going on, we feel it's stopped, but it's not so. I think that's why it's dangerous to put everyone in one box, and also to focus only on one issue, on a debate, when there's many. And maybe if we turn around the whole things and try to ask a different question, then the whole things became not useless, but without really argument. And I hope it will be like this, because for me it's like with the missing sexual education, we don't about talking about that, what could be the right one and when it should start, which are part of this issue. Because if girls and boys in the time when they realize they boys and girls all terms, and that's around 5, 6, 4, then should start, of course, the sex education, and not means you push out a dildo and show what is happening, but to make accept the other one is a person, also if it's different, and what does it mean love, and what does it mean respect, and what does it mean consensual. That's you can teach for children, and that's in some countries they do. And somehow there the unexpected children, for example, much less or the sexual disease is not spreading. Also, all the country talk about sexual diseases, but that's not the point of the sexual education. And also in these countries, gender have faced with much less bullies than other ones. The suicide rate are much lower. So yeah, I could say like Dan Savage. It needs reform. It's need reform in USA, and not only in USA. That's I can say nearly in the whole world, because first of all, why women are not equal and men, not mentioned gay are not equal with cis, and not mentioned trans are not equal even like gay. So craziness poor. But that's word. I hope this time my shoulder didn't make this, because I saw the other in the other one it did. So I hope I could point out something. Well, that was my target today. Have a nice weekend, and we wish for good weather to go out for hiking, not for dating. That's still not allowed. So have a nice weekend. If you like my video, thumbs up, subscribe, and see you soon.